What's up, y'all? Tis your boy Dreaded Don here, back again delivering you guys my early predictions for Game of the Year for 2026, man. Now you might be like, hey, bro, it's way too early to predict Game of the Year. You can't do that. Hey, it's my channel. I said I wanted to be more dedicated. I wanted to just talk about games. If you're here, you're here to talk about games. That's what we're doing. So I'm just let the thoughts flow, man. That's what we're here for. That's what we're going to do. Anyways, point being, if you have your own predictions for Game of the Year, or if you just, want to see if you can come back to it, later in the year, like, did I predict right? Leave a comment down below what you think is going to be the game of the year. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. And as always, my friend, sub so we can share some more info. You know what I mean? But let's get on and get on into it. Now, I will say I got two main contenders for game of the year for me right now. I got two. It's Pragmata and Crimson Desert, my friend. Now, Pragmata is number one on my list from bias only. It is on my list based on it being a sci-fi adventure game from Capcom. I'm not gonna lie, I'm 100% biased. The story got me. You know what I mean? If you don't know about the story, it's set on a near distant future from Earth where they have actually went to the moon. They found a resource called Lunum Ore. Yeah, Lunum Ore. They turned that Lunum Ore into a Luna filament. And that Luna filament is essentially an end-all, be-all resource for us. We can create anything that we need with that resource, right? But one day we lose connection to the base that's able to understand and create this resource of Luna filament. So we send a little response squad out, and that's essentially where our story picks up at. We pick up as a character named Q. He's part of the response squad, and as soon as he lands on the response squad, there's a lunar quake that happens, and it splits him up from his squad. And since he's split up, he's wandering the research station. He stumbles upon an android young girl, and through understanding her and talking to her, communicating with her, he understands, okay, this girl is a Pragmata, an AI. You know what I mean? And through working with her and communicating with her, he dubs her the name Diana, and she becomes the primary assistant to helping you understand why the signal went dark on this research station. And from there, I feel like that's where the story is really just going to unfold. You know what I mean? And that's where I got hooked. I love a good sci-fi story. I love a good story that maybe has a little bonding relationship, has like an assistant that's able to be such an essential companion to you. Like with God of War and Kratos, God of War and Atreides. Atreides? I forgot his name, but essentially his son. Kratos and his son. Those two working together, absolutely phenomenal. You know what I mean? Damn, can't remember the name, but it's still phenomenal. Point being is that I love games like that. I love the sci-fi setting. So for me, just seeing the combat alone, the visuals, and if the story, they can really connect the story through and through. I think I could see it being a contender for game of the year, if not one of the games of the year. That's just my opinion, me being biased for a sci-fi game, right? Now, if I don't gotta put my bias in there, man, now we're just talking about what I really think has a possibility for being game of the year, is Crimson Desert. Everyone is hyped for it. It has the visual impact to be there, has the combat mechanics, has the gameplay mechanics, has the entire world building and the years of, putting together on an online multiplayer game, that it being shifted into a single player game, that having that pinpoint focus into everything that it needs. If Pearl Abyss can really nail the narrative and story design, as I've said before, oh my god, this game is going to be absolutely phenomenal. But they have to be able to nail the story and the narrative design. Like the game, we all know that combat and mechanically is going to be there, and visually, 9 times out of 10 we can expect the game to be visually there. But narratively and story-wise, it has to connect and be so cohesive that we just feel like we're immersed and we are Cliff Greymane. And we have to feel like we're actually out to go get our squad back when we've been attacked by the Black Bears. And now we're out, and Destiny actually has set us on this fate to gather our squad that we feel is a family, and then go against fates to do whatever needs to be done. You know what I mean? And that's, again, where I feel like if they don't execute that part of the story, you've initiated that the Greymanes are our family and that we've been attacked. You give us that, again, as I've said before, like that Luffy separated feeling. But if you can't capitalize on that feeling and then push the story further through those points of through our companions that we gather as we're getting them back, and maybe through the people that help us gather our companions back or our family back, then I feel like that's where it's not gonna follow through for game of the year. But that's, as I keep saying, I said this with Pragmatica and, I'm saying Crimson Desert now, but as we saw last year, one of the games that won Game of the Year was Expedition 33. Two contenders, Silk Song and Kingdom Deliverance. All three of those were phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal when it comes to having story, like a game that has a fleshed out story, and the devs actually care about the story that they're going to be telling the players, right? You know, Expedition got you hooked up emotionally with the music, the visuals, gameplay, the characters, the setting. You know what I mean? Kingdom Come Deliverance does that exact same thing, but get you hooked up in the simulation of being a knight. So in all honesty, we never really know. There could be a variety of games that come out from underneath the rug and just sweep the title, you know? Again, another one in my personal opinion that I hope does sweep the title, you know, I got it on the screen right now, is I hope that one of the updates for Monster Hunter allows it to come up for being one of the winning awards for Game of the Year, or one of the titles for awards for the year. Because it's a phenomenal game in and of itself. Not a smaller title, not an indie title, but nonetheless still deserves an award in my personal opinion, you know? Still would like to see another game come out from underneath the rug and sweep the title the same way Expedition did, because that was phenomenal. But gotta have my bias for Pragmata, and obviously gotta have the popularity of vote for Crimson Desert, and then gotta throw my 2 cents in for a game that gets updated, Monster Hunter Wilds. If I had to say my top 3, you know what I mean? Top 3, Pragmata, Crimson Desert, Monster Hunter Wilds, even though it can't really win game of the year because it came out last year, nonetheless. As I said before, man, I really just came on to just say, like, give you guys my predictions for game of the year. You know, it's a little bit early, but of course I'm gonna give midway through, do another prediction, and at the end of the year, let's see who really wins, right? That's the fun part about predictions, is to see who really wins. As I said before, if you got any predictions, you know, you want to come back and check out, see if you were right, leave a comment down below, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and as always, my friends, sub. So we can, you know, keep sharing some info. I kind of like sharing out some info. I'll catch you guys on the horizon. Deuces.